Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Manifest This Believer versus Skeptic. Last week, Jennifer took us through what vision boards are. Jennifer, what are we doing this week?
So if you listened to our last episode, wink, wink, please listen to the last episode. We kind of set the scene for vision boards, powerful, how powerful they are, what they're not. Today, I thought we could do something different. I thought we could do one together. So grab your magazines if you're a magazine paper girl like I am, or open up your Pinterest account, or pause this and open up a Pinterest account if you don't have one, because we're going to guide you today through the whole process of what a vision board is and looks like.
And everybody knows I'm going to ask all the hard questions so that we can keep it really grounded and we don't get too high on glitter glue while we're moving along with this.
I like glitter glue.
Fair enough. I'm thrilled though because I love technology, that there's alternatives to hard copies, magazines, and glue. So that's exciting to me.
Right. So, shall we get started?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. So, the first thing I would recommend everybody do is prep your energy. And I'm going to make this as practical as possible because a lot of people don't, want to get too woo, and that's okay. So, listen, I am woo, but I still love candles. So sometimes I'll light a candle. Sometimes I will pour a glass of now kombucha because I'm not drinking wine anymore, but pour a glass of wine, pour a glass of kombucha. Get yourself at a lovely space that you enjoy, light a candle, maybe play some music, get calm. Carve some time out for yourself. This is for you. This is for your future. And if you have a family, it's for their future too. So tell them to buzz off. You're taking an hour for yourself. Sometimes when I run these workshops, they run 3 hours from beginning to end. But today we're going to just walk you through, and then you can pause and stop or come back to it whenever you like. So light a candle, get your station area ready, and clear the noise. So get quiet, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what do I want? Not what I've been told to want. What do I want?
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. Not what I've been told to want. What do you mean by that?
So, yes, it's what you want in your life, not what you've been told that you want, not what society might make you think you want, what you really want. Listen, I've got people in my life that are happy at home with their cat and a book. Great. Okay. So, if that is what makes you happy, put it on your vision board. Maybe you want more books. Maybe you want more cats. Great. Not everybody wants a mansion and a helicopter and a house in Barbados. Not everybody wants that. So don't get hung up on what society thinks success is. Look really deep, feel really deep about what would make you so excited and so happy.
Okay, so what if I don't know what I want? Because I love the self care piece of this, but sometimes that just seems like a really big piece of pie to take a bite out of.
Well, it is, which is why, again, vision boards are so powerful, because through the flipping, through the scrolling, don't go for the actual end result if you're not there yet. Go for the feeling. Go for
Okay.
the thing you're drawn to. Go for the thing that's curious to you. Go for the image that you're like, I'm not sure why I'm drawn to that, but I'm going to pull it anyway.
Okay.
It's got to be based in feeling. And sometimes it's just not, you know? Like, for example, for years, I had on my vision board what I would call black industrial floor to ceiling windows, and they were all over my vision board. I loved them. I just
Yeah.
loved them. I loved looking at them. I loved twinkle lights. I had a lot of those on my vision board. Well, now my backyard has floor to ceiling black industrial windows and a bunch of twinkle lights. So, like, just go for the feeling of it. You'll be blown away by what happens.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go for the feeling. How do you break this down? Like, how do you actually go about making the vision board?
So, the easy answer is, and no one's going to like this, there are no rules. There's no categories, there are no rules, but there can be. So if you need that organization because you're that kind of person, and there's nothing wrong with that, I would give you the following categories to try and find images for. These are the big areas of life that we usually all care about. Yourself. What do you want for yourself? And I'll break that down in a minute. What do you want for your health? And again, how do you define health? What do you want for your wealth? What would you love to see in your bank account? What would you love as, net worth? Like, I know that's a big term, but eventually you get into the stage where you're like, what you want your net worth to be? Or what do you want to be able to afford? What luxuries do you want to be able to have in your life? What extras do you want to have saved away just so that when the furnace breaks down, you don't panic at the $7,000 bill that comes? Those kinds of things. What do you want for your relationships? Both personal, both love interest or romantic relationships, family relationships, friendship relationships, colleague relationships. What do you also want for your home life? What are your goals around home life? What are your goals around lifestyle? What are your goals around spirituality and play or hobbies? And then, of course, like whatever, like I want a golden retriever, like anything and all things are on the table. But I would say those are the main categories. I'll give them to you again: self, health, wealth, relationships, home, spirituality, play, and then whatever else you want.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the start for the categories. And I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm still struggling, and we've talked about this a couple of times. I know. What if I don't believe in all the universe provides stuff?
Then don't do it because you're not doing it now. So tomorrow's not going to look any different, right? So no problem. Or just do it for fun. Grab your kids if you have any. Bring your girlfriends together if you have any. Bring your guy friends together. We can do guy versions of this. This is not just saved for female and women energy. Get a group together and just have fun with it. Don't think about it. Don't make it any bigger than it is.
Okay. So, what's the next step that we need to do?
Before we move on, I just want to offer you one other way to look at this. If
Okay.
you're in business, and I know you're in business, Sharon, and you're very strategic, thank goodness for us, you're very strategic. Think of this as a strategy for your life. But instead of it being in an Excel spreadsheet, it's going to be in pictures. Okay. So think of it as life goals, but just in pictures instead of in words or in a journal, even though you could do this in a journal as well. Think about this as a visual strategy for your life, like a business plan with pictures. Does that
Okay,
help you?
you know what? You just hit on something significant for me because I've worked on strat plans for companies as a consultant, and there's always the BHAG. What's the big, hairy, audacious goal for your business, right? So now
Yes.
I'm going, okay, what's the big, hairy, audacious goal for my life? What are the five values or the five things about me that are significant and important that I want to make sure that I stick to in all of the things that I'm doing?
Boom.
And then what are the steps I need to take to eventually get there? What do I have to do in order to move in the case I'm thinking an organization, but in order to move myself? Where do I need to make changes?
Boom. Boom. Remember we
And
talked about inspired action?
yeah,
Yes, you're
and
on the super right track.
well, and here I'm thinking, on a corporate level, you'll think, what's finance doing? What's marketing doing? What's sales doing? And now I'm thinking, what's health doing? What's wealth doing, which is finance in a way. So I think you've sort of drawn a line for me. I'm not saying I'm a believer yet, but for me in my brain, you've drawn a line between a strat plan for a business and a strat plan for a life.
Totally. Now, I know you're not there yet, Sharon, but what I want you to think about is, and I want all of our listeners to think about, is in business, we muscle to fill in all of those areas for the strat plan.
Right.
In our world, in the world of manifestation and spirituality and law of attraction, the minute we make a move, the universe is going to help us. So it's almost like having a full operations team. Okay, let's go back to business for a minute. There's a full operations team, a finance team, an HR team, an accounting team, a marketing team ready, waiting for you to tell them what their directive is so that they can get to work. That's what the universe is sitting, waiting for you to give it direction so that it can assist you in getting you to that BHAG. Okay?
Okay, got it. So the KPIs,
Yep.
let's talk about those for a second. So
Okay.
in business, of course, you've got key performance indicators in terms of telling you you're on the right track. How does that relate to a vision board?
So you mentioned earlier the vision of a specific car that you see on the road. What car did you mention?
It's never specific cars. I just like vintage 50s and 60s coupes, Aston Martins or Porsches, or just because I love the shape of them, not because I necessarily need or want one.
Okay. So let's say, though, for this example, that you do have a vintage coupe car on your vision board. Someday
Okay.
you would love to have one. And I'm not going to dive into all the reasons you're not prepared to say you want one yet. We're not going to do that today, but that is the next step. But let's just say you put a picture of a vintage coupe car on your vision board. And let's just say that today, when you go out to pick up the milk, or on your way to McDonald's to pick up a coffee, like I did today, you spotted a vintage coupe car on the road and it drew your attention towards it. That is a KPI right there. Because when you see it in your environment, it's a sign that they exist on the planet. They are within your world. You can literally see it. It's coming to you. It's a sign it's on its way. Just like this morning when I stepped on the scale and I was down a pound, that is a KPI that my weight loss goal is on its way.
Got it. It's a lot easier for me to think about this in business terms than it is in the woo woo terms.
Fine, great. We need you. We need that, right? We need you to help people understand it in terms that they can wrap their head around.
Right. Okay, so curating with emotion, and while emotion plays a big part in business as well, it's discounted, I would say, oftentimes because people want specific measurable results. So tell me what you mean by curating with emotion in this particular case.
So I think we talked about it a little bit earlier on in this episode, where if you come across an image or a picture and it evokes some kind of emotion, it might not even be something that you're aspiring to, but it evokes some kind of feeling, or as I said, curiosity, or I wonder why I'm so drawn to that picture.
Okay.
Pull it out. There's some emotion behind that for some reason. It's telling the universe, your subconscious is trying to tell you something. And it could even be, Jennifer, we want this in our life, but you're not giving it to us. We desperately desire this in our daily routines and life experience, and you're not giving it to us. We're trying to give you a hint. Your soul wants this.
Okay. Okay, what's the step after that?
So you're gathering imagery, you're looking for the emotion, and then I also want you to look for language. For example, words. And I'll tell you my best source for clipping out, and again, remember, I'm a paper girl. My best source for anchoring with language is always Oprah's magazine. She puts the most beautiful language in that magazine, phrases, words that match the frequency of your desire. So don't overlook phrases and words because they can really help you to zero in again on that piece you're trying to get in your life.
Okay. All right, so we're talking about more than just grabbing a picture of something and calling it a day.
Yeah, for 100%. But if you need to start there, back to your business analogy, if you need to put a big goal in front of you that you don't even think is possible, you never thought, just grab it for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll get better at this. You'll be able to iterate down the road.
Okay. So what's the next step?
The next step for me is usually once I've got a good selection going is to assemble, but I want you to assemble with intention. So I've run so many of these workshops. I've seen so many different variations of this. Again, there are no rules, but if you are a rule follower, I'm going to give you a few guidelines. So lay it out with some vibe. What do I mean by that? Start to organize your board however it feels right to you. Maybe it's by mood, maybe it's by category, maybe it's pure chaos. Maybe it's by color. Maybe you see all of the blues and then all of the reds and then all of the yellows and all of the purples and it looks like a rainbow. Whatever, again, like whatever your heart is called to. Again, I know that sounds a bit woo, but just let it flow a little bit. But if you really need the structure, categories. I love the categories. So go health, wealth, career, love, family. There's 5 right there. Start there.
Okay. And then any tips on that? Anything else to look at?
Yes. In the past, I've always provided people some post it notes. I always have a package of post it notes or a notepad and a pen beside me because sometimes I know I want something in my life, but I can't find an image to match it. And so, what I will do is I will write whatever that thing is down on the post it note and I'll stick the post it note on the vision board, kind of like TBD, to be determined, or, to come. Just leave space for it, for these unexpected blessings or these unexpected desires that you want to add in down the road.
Okay. And then what do we do next?
Well, then I infuse it with energy. So, suggested ritual here, ritual, people might be turned off by that word, but just a suggested ending. Take 30 seconds, sit with your board, feel it as it is already done, smile and say thank you, and then go put it somewhere you're going to see every single day.
What is seeing it every single day? Does that go back to the reticulated brain?
Yes. So, in your terms, yes. So, we need to activate that board. And by making it a part of your life, a place where you can see it, where you can make it your phone wallpaper. I have a screensaver that is one of mine. Take a photo of it, set reminders to be viewing it at least once a day, if not more than once a day. When it comes into your daily life, if it's something that's a bit of a stretch for you, especially if it's something that's a bit of a stretch, the more you see it, the more your body gets comfortable with this big vision that you want. And over time, your subconscious calms down and you actually might be able to say, yeah, I want that and it's coming. Whereas when you first put it on your board, you might be like, boy, that's a real stretch.
Interestingly, which is sort of like any business strat plan, right? You introduce that to the team, even though you think you've got buy in, and then there's a few folks who are going, I don't know how we're going to make that number. I don't know how that's going to happen. Those people are crazy. But,
Yeah.
there's thought behind it, there's feeling it can be done from the business side. Again, I'm not bought in on the vision board side, but I can see where you're going.
Yeah, and I mean, again, even a vision board, you don't get these gorgeous curtains in your bedroom if you didn't take a few micro actions. You're not going to meet the goals on that strategic plan if you don't take some micro actions. But it's the feeling behind the micro actions. I mean, we could do a whole episode on how to use this for business. It would
Hmm.
be mind blowing. But, you know, suffice it to say, your homework is your vision board is only as powerful as you believe in it and your willingness to act on some of those things. So it's just the first step, but it can be a very powerful first step.
Okay. So I think our homework this week is to make the board or at least start a Pinterest account.
Totally. Just start. Just buy a magazine or open up a Pinterest account. At the beginning of the Pinterest account, Pinterest will ask you what your interests are. Put in your interests. I love
Yeah.
tennis. I love golf. I love cooking. I love entertaining. Like, start there.
Okay. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun this week. We've got a little bit of homework to do, but I think it's homework that'll set us up for ongoing conversations about fun and interesting things. So, folks, if you're out there and you're going to try your vision boards, tag us if you can. Tell us what you're manifesting. Email us at info@truthanddare.ca and tell us what surprised you about the process. Anything else to add?
I was just going to say, and if you're struggling, let us know. We're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on Manifest This, and we look forward to hearing from you and can't wait to hear about your vision boards. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.